Hi, Lydia. Welcome back.
Hello, my dear. So lovely to see you again.
Very lovely to see you. So, a little intro to this birthing of a new series. It's a spin-off from my initial sound podcast or video podcast series called Interviews. And we both felt it went so good and we received such beautiful feedback that we came up with the idea of creating a spin-off that is just the two of us openly conversing, exchanging on the matters of time, on what truly fascinates us or sparks enthusiasm and doubt as well upon us, and to have an open conversation.
Yeah, I'm so excited whenever we come together and we open space to be in this flow. Things just appear magically, and we get also for ourselves, we get so much benefit, so I really love it.
So much. Me too. And this is for anybody who feels drawn to touch upon matters of spirituality, science, self-awareness, perception, consciousness, but also who feels that there's so much more out there than we are being told by the classical media, so to say. And I personally don't know where this is going, but I do enjoy the ride. And I can tell you from the depth of my heart that the intention to co-create this is completely pure. It comes from a very deep notion. And yeah, I'm excited to take this ride.
Yeah, I'm also very excited, and I think more than ever now is the time that we need to come together. We need to share our perspectives, the way we see things, the information we have. I think that nobody really knows where this is going, but if we want to have an opportunity maybe to come closer to the truth with a capital T, we need to put the different pieces of the puzzle together, all of us. So the more we do that, then the whole image appears slowly of this puzzle, and we are more able to understand maybe what is going on. So I think right now we are just all day bombarded with so much information for whatever the matter is. And sometimes it's hard to have this understanding of where it's coming from, what level of information, what level of consciousness it's coming from. So I think discernment in these times is very important. We cannot put our mind to discern, in my opinion, personally, because the mind is meant for logic. The mind is meant for calculating numbers, for organizing things, for these kind of things. But if we're talking about if something resonates with truth, I think we need to go deeper in our inner compass, right? The inner compass. I just remember this beautiful movie, Narnia, and they have this alethiometer. I don't know if you've seen it or if you remember. There is a
No.
there is a gadget with like a compass, and it tells you if something has to do with truth. So I think this is what we need right now. We have that device inside of us, is built in. The only thing we need is to just go deeper inside and quiet our mind and just like tune in. And this tuning in can allow us to have that compass working and have answers that we're looking for. And even more so, I think putting our compasses together brings us even closer to having like real truthful answers.
Wow, boom, so beautifully said. Yes, I do very much believe in that nobody is as smart as everybody together. And the bridging of various notions of culture is so vital in times like these. And as I said the other time, we're never as isolated as now, but at the same time, we're never as connected as now. And I truly believe that, in this bombardment of impulses and stimuli and opinions, because everybody has one or two at least, it's so vital to take ourselves out of it. Like I see it with me, right? when I watch too many YouTube videos or too long the news, I have all these very chaotic images in my mind, and I'm going ecstatic, and I'm fearful often. And then I take a walk out in nature, and she doesn't scream. She's just there, she does her thing, cyclical, as she always has, way before we came. And everything falls into place. And I start then to mute all those multiple voices, all those external, factors that had implemented themselves into my mind. And all of a sudden it becomes very quiet. And this is then when I can truly access my inner truth compass, as so beautifully said. And I always find that when I get goosebumps, or when I get, I tear up, or when my heart is pounding like deep but massive, these are my three indicators that I feel that something is truthful, that it's true. And that's why I love our exchanges, because thanks to your depth of holding space for your own truth and the research that you do from alternative sources, I get really excited about what else our future holds. And then I jump from, okay, what truth is out there or inside of me, to, instead of just going to seek for answers, to go and create new questions, and to continue that paradigm of being curious, basically. So I would just extend that question to you. What are you currently curious about?
Wow, that's an incredible question. And there are so many answers to that. I don't know where to start. Well, I'm really curious to what is really going on right now in the planet. It's a question that really fascinates me. It keeps me up at night with excitement, more than fear. I read a lot, I connect with people, and also I am also connecting inside of me and trying to filter all this information and see what feels in resonance. I think we're living extreme times in terms of extreme change and extreme shift, and also extremely exciting times, because I think it's an amazing opportunity for us to change the way we have intention in life, to put more conscious intention in the way we do things, in the way we speak, in the way we approach a person, in the way we behave towards Mama Gaia. So that really excites me and lifts me up. I know there is horrible things going on in the planet right now that actually do break my heart. I know there are countries right now that are living, in my perspective, a dictatorship. They are almost in a state of war because you don't have freedom anymore. You have to stay, in your cage. In one aspect, to see it's like you have to stay in your cage. In another aspect, you just need to go deep inside of you and find yourself. So there are always many sides to reality. But my point is, I know there are very difficult times that we are going through as a planet, but it's also, I think, inspiring to zoom out and see the bigger picture. And what I mean by that is, this is not the first time the planet is living that. For example, this is not the first time that the planet is living a shift of climate and climatic change. And now there is incredible data that is out there, scientific data that can provide us the information for almost 400,000 years. So we now have the big picture of what has happened in 400,000 years in terms of climate. And there is a clear cycle there, which means the Earth has gone through warming and extreme warming far more than we are right now, and it has gone through cooling. And it's always this breathe in and out, is all these cycles of up and down, these waves that exist everywhere in the world, from the microscopic scale, in the quantum scale, the electron spinning and then the Earth spinning, and then the galaxy is spinning, and it's all a cycle. So I would really love for everyone to just feel into that everything has a cycle of whatever we want to call up and down. But it's basically a cycle of rotating and different phases. So it's interesting to see that we are in a cycle right now, and according to the different cycles come different results. Without these results being bad or good, it's just a phase. It's like a wave goes up and down. There is no such thing as a negative or a positive. It's just different qualities to it. So these cycles also show us that the Earth has 3 major cycles. One is the so-called precession of equinoxes. I really will invite everyone, if you don't know about it, please go deeper and research and Google. There's tons of information to explain it. There is the bigger cycles of Earth going around the sun closer and far away from the sun, and that changes, this elliptical changes. And there is also the wobble of the Earth, like the axis of the Earth changing and making a cycle. So these are 3 main cycles. And why is that important? Because I don't want to overwhelm anyone with too much information, but imagine there are 3 cycles and imagine them like waves, right? There are 3 different kinds of waves. And these waves do not have the same phase. So it means that they are not sitting with their highs and lows on top of each other. But there are times that 2 of these cycles or 3 of these cycles, even more rare, coincide, which means there is a peak on them or a low that coincide at the same time. Why is that important? Because scientists like Gregg Braden and other scientists have laid out events throughout our history, and it seems like every single time there is a coinciding of these cycles, there are major shifts happening, like climate change or warming or cooling of the planet and other kinds of things. And then it seems like these cycles also have results in other things, like they affect financial cycles, and they also affect cycles of war and peace. Why is that important? It's important to know the bigger picture so we know what we're currently in. And right now we are in such a cycle of 2 of these cycles are coinciding, and we are in a time of extreme change. And as always, it's not about to blame something on the stars or the cycles or the planet. It's just flowing in this curve, and it's about us to choose how we use it. So for example, the cycles of war and peace have been very consistent. They have been laid out. I think we can put below after this link to Gregg Braden's YouTube, and he explains it in detail, but our point here is to give another message, which is we are currently in a phase that we have gone from a low period of, let's say, aggression or war, and we are slowly going to a high at this time. And this is not something to frighten us. It's something to be aware of and conscious of. And it is a time that we need to work more consistently for peace. First of all, for inner peace, for different parts of ourselves that are constantly at war, different parts of ourselves that are criticizing each other or hating each other, and then expand that to our close community, and then expand that to the world if we can. It's a time that we need most than anything to come together, to unify, to find more our similarities, far more than our differences. How does that feel for you?
I'm gonna let everybody first let this sink in, this profound chunk, not junk, chunk of information. It hits a certain nerve within me in terms of our perception, in terms of, do we engage with reality, or what we see and can measure, quantifiable outside of us, in a linear way, which is more the so-called masculine way. And this has nothing to do with gender. It's just how usually masculinity is being played out. It's more linear, more structured, kind of engaging. Or can we now, having this profound field of research, the data, and researchers such as yourself or Dr. Gregg Braden or others who are bringing all of this into our awareness, is that maybe not a call for us to upgrade our way of perceiving life instead of going linear, to really shift this into cyclical understanding? Maybe most of us women have, per default already, a faster access towards this because we engage in cyclical waves every single month. Until, of course, the next cycle in life begins for the more mature women. But that alone allows us to connect deeper with the fluctuative nature of nature itself, how the planetary constellations revolve, how even, like, to me, the moment I became aware of how my cycle could affect me, my moods, my preferences even, I started identifying myself more even with the lunar changes that are cyclical. And then, of course, there was the sea, the notion as a surfer myself, just how you so beautifully put it earlier. I cannot stop the waves, right? But I know that for me to get to the so-called lineup, I got to paddle myself out there, but I can only paddle the way that the waves allow me, and then also either surf them or just hold my breath until that wave goes over. And maybe for our more masculine thinking oriented crowd, this is a big invitation to start upgrading your perception and your way of connecting with the world within you and around you, and with the history of time and what is about to become history, our short future, in a more cyclical way, to know that this too shall pass, but not just this too shall pass like a massive wave. It's more like, okay, when you get back to the surface, when you take that deep breath, what are you going to exhale in this world? What are you going to bring forth? And I find this so beautiful how you put it. It's that, especially in the regard of how all these cycles can affect the possibility of war in our societies, that it doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be that equation. But just alone pointing out of the possibility is an invitation for every single one of us, everybody who hears that calling, to know that your capacity of affecting the reality that we are going to experience is massive, is so much bigger than you think it is, especially the human heart. Your human heart, once it's activated, once you feel compassion, once you feel connectivity, it's 5,000 times stronger in terms of electromagnetic fields than that of your brain. So just imagine the massive positive shift and the impact you can benefit everybody with. That's what I'm excited about.
Wow, I have goosebumps as you speak. It's so beautiful and so powerful, what is coming through you. And I really love what you pointed out about the feminine side that is more in tune with cycles. I think it's so important at this time to realize as a planet, as humanity, that we have explored a lot the masculine way. I am not talking about men and women. I'm just talking yin and yang, which we all have inside of us. So as a humanity, we have explored for many thousands of years the masculine way. And I think more than ever now, we are called to go back to the feminine and go back to compassion and go back to unification and cyclical thinking, right? See the whole picture and just not the linear. And at the end, it's all about putting it together. But because we have gone too much on one way, right? I think we have to give a little bit more emphasis in the other one, and then hopefully we can find the balance. Yeah, it really touched me, all the things you said. And it's a really important time also for everyone to think to ask oneself, and we need to ask ourselves, I try to ask myself every day, what can this situation give me as a gift? What can this situation show me? What does this situation how it can help me become a better version of myself today, for myself, for my loved ones, for my family, for my community, for the planet. And it's a situation that, as anything, I will keep on saying that, because this is really something for me resonates as truth. Reality has so many perspectives. I want to share a short story that I was just discussing last night with my husband Arturo, and it's so simple, might sound stupid, but it has for me a profound truth. I was living in an apartment some years ago, and it was a new built apartment. I was the first one to go in, and it had 5 stories. One day I was just renting there. I talked to a guy that was just above mine, and he had bought the apartment, which means he had invested, and for him, it's really important what's going on there. So he was very furious and angry, and he was like, I'm so sick and tired of this place, because every day that I go out, somebody has blocked the garage entrance, and I need to call the police. I was like so shocked. I have been in and out of the same garage door, and I had never had that. And I was like, how is this possible? We're in the same building, we use the same garage entrance, and his reality is completely other than mine. And for me, I had faced an incredible problem, let's say, because 2 days after I went into my apartment, there was a problem with electricity, and it kind of burned all my new devices out of nothing. That's a big story, but he had no problem with that, and it's the same electricity of the same building. So that made me think, we are all in this reality, but we are having our own perception of that reality. So it's a time that we can hate each other because, some doctors are saying this coronavirus mortality rates are not even true. There are other people saying, oh, I've seen it with my own eyes. There is other research there. There are other people, having this or that experience. What I'm trying to say is all these experiences are valid. It's not a time to judge each other's reality. It's a time to share our realities and realize that we all have the freedom to experience our different realities, and that's okay.
What a beautiful, beautiful analogy. Absolutely. I can very deeply relate to what you're sharing. Yes, I would care to add that to my experience so far, reality is fluid. It's nothing static. Even the conviction that that you cannot change the past, I choose this not to be true for me, because an experience that has occurred, and I look back and I relate in a certain way to the experience, and years pass and I grow and I change my perception, I change the interpretation of things. I look back to the same experience, it will have a different meaning to me, and hence the whole narrative has shifted. So that's why even the past to me is not static, right? A tree is changing every single day its form. To us it may look like the static tree, but every wind that has touched it, every growth that it has been going through is a shift in itself. And I find that the biggest friction within, either me as one particle of this world, or us as a whole, as long as we have friction, we are basically resisting the change. And that's why this amazing martial arts teacher reminded us to be like water, to have no form, to be fluid, so that you can continuously adapt to what is being needed, that you can continuously thrive given any type of circumstance. And I feel that right now we are being invited, all of us, to look within which are the parts that we are truly experiencing a deep friction in. Also, the parts that we have either incorporated a limited conviction or belief system that is holding us to be static and not going with the changes that are happening all around us. And to start one by one identifying them and dissolving them so you can become more fluid, you can become more adapting. And your capacity to adapt would astound you once you let in, once you won't fear the change, once you won't resist the change that is coming. I'm sure of you, every single one who is listening right now, after this exchange, if you were to think of the times in your life when you didn't get exactly what you wanted, but life kind of redirected your course, you got something way better than you initially had hoped for, how many times did this happen in your life? What if this situation is not just the same, a redirection of life to have within us our hidden gems, our dormant capacities to spark and to upgrade our DNA through that?
Wow, that's so amazing. I love it. It just touches me in so many different ways. Yeah, I think now more than ever, our friction points are revealed as an individual and as a humanity. And I think for all the people that are just in their house, they're every day with their husband or their wife or their children, you know, there is no way to hide our friction points. All the relations with our loved ones, they can reflect us all these points that, as beautifully said by you, is a time to release and not resist anymore and let flow. And it's time to be water more than ever, as said by the great master. And our planet is water. We live in a watery planet. So it's really important to learn from the wisdom of water. And in Chinese medicine, the fifth element, there are 5 elements in a cycle. The last and fifth element in the cycle is water. And water represents the wholeness, represents the universe, represents going back to the source. And in its unbalanced side, represents fear. So an unbalanced water element can lead us to fear, whereas letting go to the flow and jumping into the unknown with faith is what can give us all the wisdom of the water element. And the wisdom of the water element is infinite. It's the infinite element. It's the one without borders. It's the one that can take us into the deepest realms. I think one more time, in you know, the planetary history or humanity history, we are called to do this deep diving, like scuba diving. Let's put our suits and let's go diving wherever we are meant to be taken.
Oh my God, you just blew my soul. That's so amazing. Wow. I had no idea. Thank you for that super, super important information on how the TMC, no, Chinese traditional, what's the acronym for Chinese traditional medicine?
TCM.
TCM, thank you, is relating to water. And it makes sense, the capacity to be infinite once you don't have resistance. Once you don't have resistance, you can go anywhere. That's the beauty of it. I mean, just imagine a river. A river in itself, when you look at it, not at 1 second of its existence is it the same at all. It's in a constant movement. And no matter the biggest rock that comes in the way, it will find a way around it. It will, with his softness, actually affect the rock. That's the beauty of it. And that's what I'm really, that's my message for all of you today, is truly to connect yourself with your dormant capacities once you do that scuba diving, that deep diving within. And know that we together have the resources, have the resourcefulness, have all the tools that we need to thrive through this together. I understand that the unknown is fearful, but once you are called to co-create it, you're actually giving it a face, a form, something graspable. So it doesn't have to be that frightening anymore. And for the ones who are listening who are in a household right now where they're probably spending way more time on a closed space than they've probably done the past years with their beloved beings, it can get tight. And if that isn't one major spiritual exercise, to be in peace whilst you are surrounded 24/7 by the people that, you know, mirror you as nobody else probably will. And I had this notion the other day to think, what if I were to enter my house, you know, returning from the groceries, and I know that my family would be in the house, and I would to enter the door just by opening it up. I would imagine that I were to encounter them for the very first time in my life, like with a blank slate, like not having any prejudice, not having any narratives that we co-created in the past, where there was hurt, where there was blame, where there was judgment, where there were negative feelings, and just have a blank slate and say, okay, the world is in a crisis right now, and it's redefining itself. Why not we? We are like this nucleus in itself together. So I'm opening this door, and either hi husband or hi wife or hi children, who are you? And like meet them with a childlike curiosity that is free from judgment. I would be so stoked to hear about all your positive feedbacks of how you have re-met your significant others.
So beautiful. I'm almost about to cry. It's very touching. Very touching. I would also love to leave people with a few tips that I call plant allies that I use for times of stress and difficult times that require us to adapt, and times that our nervous system is kind of, you know, buzzing a lot up and down. I have a very sensitive nervous system. So there was one plant ally that has helped me immensely with that, and that is CBD oil, cannabidiol. It comes from cannabis. It's one of the 84 cannabinoids that the plant has. It's not psychoactive. It's legal all around the planet. There are two ways you can get it. It's in oil form, so you can take drops under your tongue and just keep it in your tongue for a few minutes to absorb directly into your bloodstream. Or you can actually find it in these vaporizers that you can just inhale it directly. And actually through the lungs, it gets far faster in your body. I have been using both. Lately, I have switched from the oil to ingest to the vaping one. It's incredible at times that I have been stressed with something, and I try, you know, to go in my meditation and in my breathing, and I just need an extra helper. Plant helpers are always there. So this is one of my favorites. It's a plant that it's just made for our bodies. Our bodies have the endocannabinoid system that has these CBD receptors. So we get this for the first time in our lives from our mother's milk, we get CBD. So it's a really incredible plant ally to find, you know, this chemical substances from Mother Earth. And another one I really love is vitamin C. Vitamin C, the best way to take it, I mean, this is if you have a severe issue with your body, is in intravenous form in high doses, that you will need to go to a special doctor to do it. But if you're just at home, high doses of vitamin C in liposomal form, not in a powder ascorbic acid form. So you can take higher doses without having any problem in your stomach or in your kidneys.
Just a little side question here for the ones who maybe are not acquainted with that term. What is liposomal form? Is that kind of somehow connected with the fat or an oil?
Yes, it's enclosed in an oil, and it gets very easily absorbed by your body, and it doesn't have to be broken down in the stomach. So it also allows you to get a far higher dose. Now, I am not a medical doctor, and I am not allowed to give medical, prescription, but what I have followed for myself from the best holistic doctors in the world, like Dr. Mercola and other ones, is for at times of stress where you want to boost your immune system, an amount of 5 to 10,000 milligrams a day is really important. If you take very low levels of vitamin C, you will not really see an effect. I have taken for months this amount, and it has had really incredible results in my body. Also, another thing that is amazing is that in these kind of doses, vitamin C is antidepressant. So it also works, with your hormones and your emotional world. And it's something that your body does not produce. We need to take it from external forms. For those of you that you're not so inspired to take a supplement, the supplement form can give you very high amounts, but if you just want to get a natural form from food, I will suggest camu berries. You can find that in a powder form. You can add it to your smoothie, and it tastes delicious. So that's from Plant Allies today.
Wow, boom, that's amazing. So many takeaways from your ocean of knowledge. Just FYI, that thudding, thank you, that thudding that most of you have heard during our conversation stems from this actual improvement that Lydia and her husband are having in their house. So I hope you were not sidetracked from it whilst we are improving ourselves. Both of them took time and effort to improve their houses. So this is one of the sweet perks of having a live conversation. It's perfectly imperfect.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, beautiful. Hallelujah. So I would love to outro today with one intention that we can send to our listeners. Do you have one that is maybe wanting to jump off your beautiful lips? You can share both one.
My intention is, as always, to come back to the sacred. Come back to the sacred inside of you. Find the sacred in every moment. Find the sacred in your partner, in your children, in your house, and spread out this sacred intention around you to your community as much as you can.
So it is. The intention I'm sharing with all of you today is to give yourself the permission to explore new depths and new highs of your capacity to love. You would be astounded of the new parameters can take you, and it can add value to any connection you are nurturing in your lives. Thank you for listening to us. I salute you.
On a last note, I just would like to invite everybody listening to tune in to Unify channel. because this Saturday there will be a global meditation with amazing people involved, including Nassim Haramein, spiritual teachers from India, Deva Premal and Miten chanting their mantras. And I think more than ever, we need to come together and just emit these frequencies to the planet, to humanity, for everybody. So if you feel it, just go to their channel and see what times there are for your country. And let's do this collective global meditation.
Yes, and we were not affiliated at all by that mentioning this because we believe in it. I don't think they even know us yet, but let's do this global party of our souls and hearts and deep course and upgrade the consciousness worldwide. Namaste, everybody.
Have a beautiful day, everyone. Thank you, Alexandra, for a beautiful sacred convo today.
Thank you, Lydia, for your beauty within and without. Much love. Bye.